So it's Sunday, August 9th, and tomatoes are getting eaten by chipmunks. We think it's chipmunks or some other creature that has to get dealt with here. Making me unhappy. Not much else happened in the garden today, so we'll just take you through a few videos from the earlier in the week, and that'll do it for this weekend's update.
August 4th, 2020, we've been lied to again. Tropical Storm Isaias is passing to the west of us and not getting me and my garden and my yard wet and not filling my well. So came out here to try to grab the remainder of the onions that have flopped over. I'm leaving the ones that are up. So this is the remainder of the Ailsa Craigs that have flopped. And one notable one here, this guy had flopped a long time ago, and you can tell its leaves are all brown. And you can see like a little graying, a little spotting, a little doink on the side there. What's all that about? So maybe if you do leave them in the garden too long, they get a little funky. So this will put us into service immediately, and then try to store the rest of them. But something to be said for harvesting the onions on time. That is all. And I guess by on time, I mean when they flop over, or within a week or two of when they flop over. August 4th, got the Patterson Storage onions up that are all flopped over, and I'll go fetch these ones that are hidden by the tomatoes here next. But a couple observations on the Patterson Storage onions. They are smaller, rounder, browner, and oddly seem denser. It's weird, but when you hold these things up, they seem like they're a little heavier than the Ailsa Craigs of the same size. I don't know why. Now these Patterson Storage onions, if you cure them, which means let them all dry with the roots on and the stalks on, and then trim them and then store them in a cool, dry place, these things are allegedly supposed to last until next spring. So I bet you they'll make it that long, but we're gonna see. Gardening. Okay, got the onions up that had flopped, the Patterson Storage onions, and it left the ones that were still vertical. I think there's 9 of these. I'll have to count the Ailsa Craigs too. But these are the onions that we got that were closer to the tomatoes, and you can see a lot of them are really puny. It's because obviously the tomatoes steal all the sunlight and are much taller than the onions, and so the onions are small. So you might see a few little speckled drops of water on these onions. That was the world's briefest, lightest bit of rain, all that we're getting so far this afternoon from Tropical Storm Isaias. I feel cheated once again. All right, August 4th. 2020, and most of the onions are in. We still have 15 Ailsa Craigs and 9 Patterson Storage onions in the ground because they were still vertical, and I just want to let them grow as much as possible. But here's what's on the drying rack: Ailsa Craigs near, Patterson Storage onions far, and there's a little bit of an optical effect, but the Patterson onions are much smaller than the Ailsa Craigs, no doubt, and darker and rounder and oddly heavier. They have thicker and more green per amount of onion. So from a cranking out the onion standpoint, these Ailsa Craigs seem to be really the producers. But I also planted them in the sun as opposed to these Patterson Storage onions, which I planted a lot of them in the shadow of the tomatoes. So somebody has to do the math and figure out how many of these we actually got. I think we ate 1 Patterson Storage onion and 2 Ailsa Craigs already, plus the 15 Ailsa Craigs and 9 storage onions out in the yard still. So perhaps math will appear. So those are sun gold tomatoes, the ones closest to the house, the ones that the doc planted from seed. And I noticed that they were split, and I asked, we should have harvested these, right? Why aren't they red? Well, should have probably clued into the name sun gold.
because you eat these when they're gold, not all the way red. So it turns out we have 100 of them that are ready to eat, and a number of them have split. And I even looked up ex post on the Johnny Seeds website that they say these tomatoes are great to go right to the market. You cannot ship these things because they tend to split, but they have great flavor, and that would be what we have found here too. So Sun Gold splitting, I'm gonna make a bucket of them now. All right, so those are the Sun Gold, and you can see a lot of them are split, but they'll go right into our faces tonight. Pam had some recipe or some way of preparing them that she was planning to use tonight, so she said grab all the ones that were ready, and I think I just did. August 4th. All right, so here are our Wisconsins, and either in the storm or because they got heavy or we didn't tie them up enough, but they flopped over a bit. Several of them did, and even broke off in that case right there in the center. So gonna maybe try to tie some of these off. Should have kept ahead of it, but didn't, and you can see they're getting a little height, and we didn't get them tied off enough, and so they flopped. So tomatoes are kind of a pain because they require a lot of attention, but then again, you get tomatoes, so you do it. Gardening.